Welcome to the Nashville Daily Podcast. I am your host, Stuart Deming, and today's episode is brought to you by XPLR Tours. Come visit Nashville, or if you live here, come take a tour with us. We have the Downtown Nashville History Tour. You can use the code ND10 to take 10% off of your order today at exploretours.com. We have tickets available for tomorrow's tour, so come learn about the city of Nashville with us. And while you're at it, also, make sure to get some coffee from our other sponsor, Blessed Day Coffee. I am drinking the Tennessee Sunrise Roast. It's a blonde roast. It's amazing. It's keeping me caffeinated and awake. And head over to Blessed Day Coffee and use the code XPLR20 to take 20% off of your order today. Joining me in studio is a food entrepreneur, a podcast host, and I don't know what else you do, but Justin Bizzarro, good morning and welcome to Nashville Daily Podcast.
Hey, how are you? Thank you very much.
I am doing well. So you drove in from Colorado, and that ride turned from a 16-hour ride to a 25-hour ride.
Yes.
So what was your experience like coming into Nashville?
Well, I love Nashville. I've been in and out of here for a while over the last year, particularly with the podcast, particularly with transitions in life, but there was a huge accident. I think that's part of traveling. I chose to drive instead of fly. Some last-minute things came up, and I'm not afraid of driving. I like the time on the road, and as an entrepreneur, you go. You don't have time to make excuses. You don't have time to get caught up in things, right? So you just go, hit the gas.
Well, the nice thing about those long drives is like you get to think and process a lot, especially if you're by yourself.
Yeah, and I'll admit this on this, probably I don't even admit it on my own podcast, but I like music and I like singing at the top of my lungs. It's always just something I've done. I grew up on a farm, so I had earphones in, mowing fields and
you were
doing
singing in the fields, yeah.
Oh, of course, the Discman back then, the Sony Discman, and the Walkman. It started with the Walkman.
Did you have the one that? If there was any scratches on the CDs, it was skip-proof.
Yeah,
because I had that one growing up. Yeah.
So my dad was like a CEO of an international food company called Caterer that put food on airplanes in 122 kitchens around the world. So when those first came out, he was like, and we had kitchens in Japan, I would always get the latest technology from Sony before anyone else, Nintendo, stuff like that, just because he was over there. So that was always kind of cool, I guess, a privileged kid in some ways. In other ways, not so much growing up on a farm, but hard knocks. I say that life is about being uncomfortable for sure and growing. So
you're the host of 4 podcasts?
Yes.
But your background previously is you grew up on a farm and then you started a business where you were basically catering 75 million meals a year.
Yep.
Tell us that story.
So a little bit, I'll give everyone a background. I was born an entrepreneur. I always knew that I was one, even though I didn't know the word. From the moment I could drive a tractor, even though I couldn't reach the pedals, I was mowing the lawn, mowing fields. That by the time I was 7, my parents taught me how to lease the tractors, pay them for the expenses and the overhead and the gasoline and everything, and go out and mow other people's fields and lawns. And in Maryland, you could drive around on the road by the time you were 14 if it were in 25 miles and it was farm use. So I was able to do that. I had a 4-wheeler. I could tow the lawnmower if I needed to. I could get anywhere I needed to go. And we lived on back roads. So they were dirt roads or gravel roads. There was a mountain in our backyard. And if you go around the mountain, you could get to different counties. And, 25 miles went a long way in that way. So by the time I was 16, I was into converting old hay trailers into fruit and produce stands, organic from farms that Whole Foods was just coming up then. So any of their waste or seconds that were too big or too small that they were getting rid of, particularly from Maryland or the Eastern Shore of Maryland, which used to be fertile farming ground. Now they've turned them all into developments, which is really sad. So I would pick up the seconds or the things that Whole Foods didn't want, and we would sell them at 4 stands around the D.C. area. I had hired friends and stuff and people I knew to run the stands, and, it started from there. I also, from 13 to 17, I would play soccer in Europe every summer. So in Europe, I started understanding the difference in nutrition and diets and medicine and natural food and cooking food from scratch, and which we still don't even understand in this country is nutritional density and the loss of it the longer the animal's dead or the more it's off the vine or picked from the tree or out of the ground, it actually deteriorates. That's why it goes bad. So just like it deteriorates and goes bad, so does the nutrition. So the nutritional label is when it's picked from the tree or killed. It's not when you eat it. So like we don't necessarily get all that stuff in there, all those nutrients and vitamins and minerals. And then when we process food and use preservatives, we're also killing the ability for those to be absorbed by our body. So I learned all of that at the same time. Farming, like life sort of just paralleled. By the time I was 18, my dad had sold off with the business partners in a private equity group called the Carlyle Group, who helped them finance Cater Air, which was a spinoff of Marriott, because Marriott did airlines. They sold it to Sky Chefs, Lufthansa, which is owned by Ahold, which actually owns all the giant Martin's supermarkets, also in U.S. Foods and Cisco.
Yep.
Now it's a Dutch company. Most of our food in this country
is not even owned in America.
Yeah, like Sodexo does all of our universities and hospitals, so we can get into that later. But at 18, it was a thing came across his desk for Kaiser Permanente. I had broken my foot on the farm doing some of the stuff for the crops and the fruit stands. I'd broken my foot. I brought a dog home from my mom that I met from one of the farmers, and he ate one of our cats, and I chased him down, and I broke my foot. And so now I was not really moving around or working in the fields or working on the things, and I had a lot of friends doing it. So he wasn't doing it. My dad had gotten into real estate then, and I was like, let's do this. Let's bid this Kaiser contract for this hospital. And it turned out to be all the hospitals in Northern California. And with his help, we put together a bid. I used all the money I had from my college tuition that I was going to use, any money I'd saved from going to Europe or from the fruit stands and mowing fields my whole life, which was a significant amount of money. Like I didn't spend money. I just always was good at that. And we started the company with some business partners that he brought in that he knew from his day. And we basically, out of my parents' basement, built a company that would do hospital food all across the country, long-term care food. We eventually got into building and designing restaurants, restaurant equipment. We were one of the first companies to put software on iPads and iPod Touches for ordering in restaurants for the merchant accounts. We got into logistics and IT, and eventually I got into podcasting and media and advertising and marketing. So it's just a natural progression. You have a lot of things that happen there. We had 9/11. We had hurricanes drown New York City. We had earthquakes in California. We've had the financial crisis. We had COVID. And so you just pivot and, you try to make your business economic downturn proof by diversifying. So food turned into a lot of other things. I owned a sports team called the DC Brawlers for a while, in a league called Grid based off of CrossFit. That lasted 3 years. We won the first 2 championships. So it's always about, for me, learning new skills, stacking skills. I think the Renaissance man thing really stuck with me in my education period, like diversified. Like Leonardo da Vinci didn't just paint, he didn't just sculpt, he invented.
He had like 6 or 7 jobs.
6 or 7 jobs. Yeah. And that's what I think as humans, we can handle that. While everyone else is in college just worried about going to class mostly, that's it. Maybe they joined a sorority or fraternity. I was fraternity, playing soccer, running a business, also going to classes. I was not only that, I was president of a fraternity. I was doing clubs. I was playing golf. I did anything that I could, and it was a lot. Don't get me wrong, and I still had time to go out here and there. But I think as humans, we totally underestimate our capabilities and our brain power.
Oh, hands down. I remember in college, I graduated a year early with a bachelor's.
There you go.
And
That's why we get along.
I worked
right there.
40 hours a week at a full-time job and another 20 to 30 hours a week at a part-time job. And so my days were 6 a.m. to midnight.
Yeah.
6 days a week, basically.
And we condition ourselves. If you can do it at a young age, like on the farm, like I did, like I played soccer, I worked on the farm, I ran the businesses, I went to school that was 25 minutes away. So one of the things when my dad was running Cater Air, I would go from school to his office. So I got to learn business by just being around them also and on an international level. Mm-hmm. And they had, outside of DC, they had hundreds of employees, thousands of employees across the world, and I got to see all of that. It's an influence. I also got to see that we live very privileged lives here in the United States,
extremely
comparatively, especially in food.
Yep.
And we take it for granted. And compared to the rest of the world that has to eat healthy and nutrition and from the fields just to keep, from starving. And by I mean starving, it's you could eat McDonald's like 24/7, but you're going to still be starving. And people are like, well, what does that mean? I mean, it means that you can keep eating it, but you're not getting the nutrients, the minerals, and the vitamins that you need. So your body's still yearning for more. So you're going to be hungry. So you're still starving. Your body's, we think of starvation as the skinny kid in Africa. Well, that's an example of malnutrition and starvation, but it's not mostly what goes on in the world anymore.
Yeah.
What goes on in the world is there's plenty of food to feed everyone. If we get it to everyone, it's just a matter of getting it to them on time, getting them to them in forms that don't have too many preservatives or sugar. Sugar's the downfall. Everyone's like, salt, don't eat salt. Salt, being in the hospitals, I will tell you, I get what everyone says. There's a theory, but it's not really what causes the problem. Salt's actually good for you.
Yep.
You can have as much as you want. It's really the sugar that's our downfall. But because the way lobbying works in our country, salt comes from somewhere else, sugar comes from corn syrup.
Yep.
So now put corn syrup in everything. We manufacture artificial sugar from corn syrup. So I guess it's not artificial. It's actually in the corn. But you know what I mean?
It's not
like
raw
sugar cane.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So let's zoom in onto the Nashville market. So you've been coming here a lot for the last year because of your podcast, and you've been working with a ton of food entrepreneurs here in the city. So what's one thing about the Nashville market that's separate from like New York City and other markets and related to food?
Yeah, and I don't look. Here's the thing. Weirdly, Nashville is like New York meets Los Angeles.
That's exactly that's the perfect definition of Nashville.
Because you have landlocked, you have to only go up there converting the train yards just like Manhattan or the 5 boroughs in New York. And I've lived there. I've also lived in Los Angeles. And then you have sort of the sprawl of Los Angeles, the commute, the roads are in bad, they don't make any rhyme or reason sense, just like California.
Well, so the roads in Nashville, the primary roads are old bison trails. So
really?
When you come take the walking tour tomorrow, you're going to learn about that.
I love bison. And, that's part of what, and part of why I'm here.
So at one time, there would have been over 300,000 bison about 200 years ago that would have lived in this area.
That's awesome.
Yep.
And I think that's important. One of the things, why when I was talking about food and nutrition, it's about diversity. We should still be eating bison in our diets. We should eat beef and chicken and turkey, but we should have pheasant and deer and emu and ostrich and
moose
elk, moose. Yes, moose is a good one. And alligator.
And bear. Have you had bear?
Yes, I've had bear.
Yeah.
One of the great things about living in Colorado is we're still kind of the wild, wild west. As you know, we were the first to pass marijuana laws. But it led to a lot of financing and the growth of Colorado. But they put a lot into our schools, but also into the food and the resources there, elk farms and bison farms and bear and anything. Because I will say this, one of the smartest things that they sort of get in those states is that if we don't eat them, they're going to go extinct.
Yep.
Like at some point, humans either destroy them or we domesticate them. Yep. And it's like same with the elephants and the rhinos. If you really think about it, we're hunting them. Why not grow them and utilize them?
Oh, especially a whole elephant can feed multiple villages.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I know everyone's like, oh, death and you have veganism and stuff. But the truth is one cow grazing a field doesn't kill as much as plowing a field when you have the mice, the squirrels, the rats, and stuff like that. Yeah. But it's about, diversifying our diet. Same fruits and vegetables. We eat like a few, and we need more than that. We need to diversify. We need, we eat carrots, corn, broccoli, cauliflower, asparagus. And now all that comes from China.
Well, that, and if you go back to the history of food, broccoli, cauliflower, asparagus all came from the mustard seed.
Yep, exactly.
So these are man-made vegetables.
Correct.
That did not exist 150 years ago.
Bingo.
And most people don't know that.
Yep.
And when you look at like sizes of tomatoes and peppers, like even 150 years ago, 100 years ago, they were a lot smaller because we put all these proteins and all this garbage stuff into our food. And so it's really interesting. So you said Nashville is a blend of New York and L.A.
Yeah.
Now, how is that in the food scene here?
So one of the best things about being in Nashville is it's showtime all the time. You have the influence of music and now movies and TVs coming here. But generally, a lot of people come here. Not everyone makes it, so they end up in food. That's a lot of what happens and used to happen in New York, not as much anymore. And a lot of what happens in LA. If you don't make it in the film business or the music business, you end up in food, just because it's a similar type of showmanship.
Yep. And I know probably 15 or 20 musicians off the top of my head. They're involved in food somehow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they go hand in hand. It's part of the same idea. It's part of that directing, that correlation, like moving a lot of pieces around, because food has so many components and recipes have so many components. They literally, the complex thinking of music or acting or trying to connect all the pieces is very similar in business. And, most businesses aren't complicated. People think they are, but it's nowhere near as complicated as food business. I've been in a lot of different businesses. I'm in clothing now. I'm in different type of things. And, I'm in fitness. All these businesses are easier than food, and I think that's why musicians, number one, they're easy hours to work, because you can work all 24/7 if you need to, and also be a musician or an artist or an actor. But the other part of it is it stimulates the brain similarly to those complex things, and very few people can handle that complexion, even though there's more food entrepreneurs in the world than anywhere else. So back to Nashville, you have the biggest boom in food that's going on, at least
Probably
in the United
world.
States. Yeah, I would say the world.
Besides maybe like Tokyo, Dubai, London.
Yeah, exactly.
I was just, right before you got here, I was reading an article. There's 6 new restaurants opening in the next month.
Yeah.
Minimum 6.
Yeah.
And some of them are they're not Michelin star guys, but they're people that are from international markets opening here in this market. And the thing that we've seen over the last 2, maybe 3 years is the rise of fine Italian in this city.
Yeah.
And that's a thing that 5 years ago did not really exist.
Yeah, and if in any real estate person, I know a lot of real estate people. I'm a real estate investor. I have real estate. I've always been in real estate. It's how I would turn money from food into real estate, or owning our own buildings or houses or whatever, rental properties, Airbnb now. But really, if you watch when food starts to move into an industry like it is, the real estate values go up.
Yep.
Okay? That's the truth. You watch the food trends and watch what happens in cities. You want to know where to go around the world to invest in real estate, watch what's going on in food, because they attract more people. When food booms, more people come there. It means that there's the labor to support it. That means that the water is going to rise and all the ships are going to rise with it, including the real estate value, including the tourism. So, and we're seeing that here. And Nashville was a no-name town. I remember in 2010, 2011, I was building restaurants here, doing equipment, because the flooding, maybe 2012.
Yeah, 2010 was the big flood. May 1st, 2010.
And there's nothing here. And as a kid, I used to come here for horse auctions in the 80s.
Yeah.
And there used to be gravel roads down the main street. I would sit there. My parents still talk about I'd fill Coke bottles during the horse auctions with stones.
Yep.
And they were glass Coke bottles. I'm dating myself to back when we used to have glass, which is still better than plastic, by the way. We just need to understand it costs more to ship and deal with it. And add it to the cost. That's what we do with everything else. But we think plastic's better and it's worse for our world. But that's a whole other point. But, really, Nashville has become, it's the next, a lot of things are happening here. You have competition, you have showmanship, you have a lot of people that have moved here. People are driving their food trucks from other states here and establishing them here.
Yep.
You have franchises coming here. We saw Raising Cane's go downtown. Taco Bell has a honky-tonk type setup.
Which is weird.
Yeah. But, when that starts to happen, you start getting Broadway's becoming Times Square in a lot of ways. You see, Eric Church throwing up a honky tonk, and the honky tonks like Mariah Lambert's, they're actually focusing on food, not just alcohol and partying. It's we're starting to up the level. Again, the water's rising and the ships are rising along with it. Garth Brooks has his place, I believe. I haven't been here in a few months, but
Bon Jovi's building his place.
Bon Jovi, holy crap! He's got Bon Jovi's got a honky tonk.
Yeah, it's not going to be a honky tonk, but yeah. So a honky tonk will technically be classified as a bar that plays live country music.
Oh, so Kid Rock is not a honky tonk.
Kid Rock, it is. It's a mix.
I know.
But Bon Jovi's building a bar here. Garth Brooks, so many other people are building a bar here. Oh, look at this!
I'm here.
Jordan Hyde.
How are you, dude?
Look at this.
Jordan,
Look
this
at
is Justin. This is awesome.
Guys, you don't know what's happening right here. Hold on, let me throw my headset on. Check this out.
Get closer to the mic.
This, you know how bad I am with that.
I know.
Dude, Justin,
Nice
look
to
at
meet you,
this,
dude.
brother. Do you guys realize this is our meet cute right now? This is happening.
Yeah.
And we're going to look back and go, oh my God, they
We did it on
became
the
best
podcast.
friends from the podcast.
Agreed.
Wild. Wild. What a day. How's
So,
everybody? Sorry I'm late.
No, you're okay, Jordan. We're
I
talking
love your
about
hat, dude.
we're,
It's fucking awesome.
we're talking about the Nashville food scene and what's happening here in this market and like how this city is becoming like a prime example of growth and all these things. So that's what we've been chatting about.
Okay, that's cool.
So let's go to you, Jordan. What's some of your favorite like restaurants here in town? I know we talk about this every episode you
Noku
come
right
to.
now. Oh
I
my.
haven't been there.
Oh
It's a Japanese
Jesus,
place, right?
let's go. That's it's over in East Nashville, right past off of like where Eastland and Porter meet.
Okay. Yep.
Where that what's the old Italian place that used to be there?
Yeah,
Right on the corner
I
with a
can't
huge
remember.
patio. I don't know.
Yeah.
But now it is a wood-fired Japanese.
So they're doing like Japanese steaks and stuff like that.
That's very cool.
It's so stinking good.
Well, and that's the creativity thing, that artistry that we're talking about, that showmanship that comes here. It's not just a chef in culinary school. And a lot of individuals don't even go to culinary school. They're just in the industry, which is kind of cool too, to see the hustle there and the ability to build restaurants. So I would say Nashville is, I don't know, I do more podcasts with people from Nashville just because they're blazing trails here. There's concepts and there's ideas and wow, I mean, it's the place to be if you're in the food business. And there's plenty of room to grow.
What are some places that are really sticking out to you, Justin, from your podcast and from visiting them and eating at their restaurants?
It's interesting. I would have to say, like, I like hot chicken. I know it's like the staple, and everyone's like, "Oh, of course he does." Like,
I love hot chicken.
I was in the fried chicken business for like years in the distribution of fried chicken products, and had territory from Maine all the way down to Florida on the East Coast doing distribution. So I like fried chicken a lot. I don't know. I mean, I know it's the staple thing. I do like Hattie B's chicken. You know, I've tried Prince's. I think they're in the
Assembly Food Hall.
Assembly Food Hall, which is cool concept. That's really cool. The Assembly Food Hall concept for everyone to go to and eat right downtown and try different local food is really good. There's a taco place that's in there.
60 Vines?
No, it's the other one. They also have a place over
Velvet Taco?
Velvet Taco.
Yeah.
And that's
They're from
pretty good.
Dallas.
They're from
Yeah,
Dallas.
Dallas. Yeah, Dallas has a lot of them. They have different taco places that have sort of spread across the country. But
What if you did a hot chicken style but with lobster?
I think you should do hot chicken style everything, like pork chops, like whatever. I find
So,
it
well,
interesting.
Because you
that we
said
don't
from
do it.
Maine to other territories, and then my
Yeah.
brain went,
Hot chicken lobster.
hot chicken lobster.
Yeah.
Let's roll with
Yeah.
that.
You probably know what pierogies are. Do you know what
Yeah.
pierogies are? Yeah. Okay. So there's a pierogi company from New York. He moved here, and he's doing like hot pierogies. Like
Yes, I know.
Nashville hot.
What's the name of that company?
It's like New York Upstate Pierogi Company.
Yeah,
or
something like that. I've had
Yeah.
them before.
Okay.
And like, I want to say Yo Soy Cabano. That's a pretty good place that popped up. I like Cuban food
Yeah.
from being in New York City.
Javier is amazing. Have
Yeah,
you,
Javier.
I love Cuban food.
Have you been to Soy Cabano?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, Soy
It's at the
Cabano.
Wash, which
Okay.
is a super
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
unique
Wash.
concept.
Love that concept.
It's an old car wash converted to 6 bays of restaurants, micro restaurants. It's fantastic. But Javier is amazing. He does great coffee, great sandwiches. Jordan, I need to take you there.
Yeah.
And we used to be in food trucks and food trailers. As a business, when I built restaurants, when people didn't pay us, I ended up owning restaurants, and we built food trucks also to diversify. And then when they wouldn't pay us, I ended up owning food trailers and food trucks. So I like the food truck, food trailer scene. I like the stepping stone because for me, it's about the entrepreneurial journey and the story, and it's a stepping stone for a lot of entrepreneurs either to expand into multiple trucks or trailers, but also brick and mortar. You know, being like a restaurant itself. So you see a lot of that roasted coconut. And companies like that, Pumphrey and Beard. Down in Franklin, there's the Triple Crown Bakery. Like, if anyone hasn't been there, it's in an old house mansion place. They have, like, tea time. It's dope. Like, you need, like, anyone who just wants to experience it or get out of Nashville, that's a place. You know, so it's a lot of, like, trying to track down those those cool places. The hot dog scene here is kind of ridiculous.
It's insane.
Like Walter's Hot Dogs in New York is one of the oldest companies, 1919, one of the best in the world. I know Gene and his family personally. But down here, the hot dog scene and what they're doing and the customization, holy crap, bring hot dogs back. You have how many burger places?
Hot dogs are probably one of my all-time favorites.
Exactly.
Like, it's so weird with all of the food that I love and eat. I always sit and go, man, a hot dog.
Yeah.
Let's rock and roll. I even have I have a running list, and I keep track of it all the time on a spreadsheet. And it's a part of my whole quest to go to every, like the 3 major league sports.
Yeah.
Like all the well, 3 of my favorite, because I'm not a basketball fan, but that's fine. But hockey, baseball, and football. I want to visit every stadium and have a hot dog and a beer at every stadium.
I love this.
And then
Are you doing a comparison chart of who has the best wiener?
Yeah, like I will, exactly. Yeah. And I'm kind of giving I tier them every time. When I get a new stadium and a new dog, I kind of like place it and I put them in order of where I think the best is and how we're sitting.
Well, and if you go to Milwaukee, they have the sausage races, like the Polish sausage, the Italian sausage, and they have all different kinds. I recommend going there. It's really good. But they are doing that here in Nashville. That's the other thing, is the stadiums, whether it's the Predators downtown, the Titans, the new soccer stadium, they're integrating in local food. And I think that's hugely important.
That's one thing I would say Nashville has done extremely well compared to other cities. If you look at the airport and how much local food is at our airport
for sure.
compared to like Philadelphia or like Buffalo Airport or even New York City airports.
No, it's all the same.
It's all the same chain restaurants.
Yeah.
But Nashville has done a great job, an incredible job, at making sure our local food scene is thriving everywhere.
And minus Raising Cane's and Taco Bell downtown, because they just obviously are there. It's the late night snacks that everyone goes to. You have the hot dog stands that have like grown a business. Like they all sort of started on Broadway, which I think is cool. But you have a lot of businesses in Nashville, even when we talked about Velvet Taco, these are unique businesses that are coming here. They're attracting the right type of businesses. Roll 'em Up Taquitos out of California. That's a guy I know, Sam Fonseca, and they're bringing Roll 'em Up Taquitos here. It's a very unique, cool concept. So if they are bringing in outside
you had
companies,
me at taquitos.
Yeah, they're really good. And they have churro donuts that are out of this world, by the way.
Yes.
And but
we'll take a dozen.
But so it's a combination of things. You build something, you plant fertile ground by getting the local entrepreneurs and the businesses and supporting them. You also bring in outside money, and both are important because as an entrepreneur, you also need to be a capitalist and an industrialist. You don't worry about your competition, you worry about you. But in order to grow your business, you have to grow the industry as a whole. And that's important. And most people try to think that the other hot dog guy down the street, for example, is competition, even though I'm in the hot dog business. They're not. You guys are growing an industry. You're growing
exactly.
a
If he
business
thrives,
that'll go
you
around
thrive.
the world. Yeah.
Right.
So I saw Cletus, one of the best restaurants, like burger restaurants.
Oh, that's the
good.
one I was going to talk about.
Cletus with Shane. I saw a post yesterday. They're doing a collaboration with Dream Burger and Bad Luck Burger Club, which are two food trucks here in town that are thriving, but all 3 of them are doing a collaboration burger. This thing is about to be remarkable.
I love Bad Luck Burger. They've been on the podcast. I've had them a few times. They're over at is it Running Waters Coffee? I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, the one over in East Nashville that's
East
like that
Nashville.
brewery/coffee shop.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they do things like Paramore was there one time when I was up there doing a meeting. And so there's like a music place there, like across the street, like a vintage record place.
Yeah, Grimley's, is that what it is? I think, yeah.
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 And, there's places like that. There's also like speakeasies here still, like that concept's still around, like these small little places that do like mocktails and cocktails that are out of this world. So like Nashville, again, on that level, like the drinks, because of the tourism, because of also then the offshoot into what people from Nashville or from the supporting areas want also, because the water's risen. Now we want higher quality stuff. So you have this mixology that's going on here that's at another level. And if you're alcohol, and even if you don't drink alcohol, you can get mocktails that are out of this world. That's, and so it's stuff like that.
The coffee scene is remarkable here.
And the diversity of food is like New York City. More than LA. LA is diversified, but not like New York. And so when I say a combination of both, there's this whole immigrant population or ethnic food population, Vietnamese, East Banh Mi, the influence of Chad's wife, I can't remember her name, Gracie.
Yep.
And there's things like that. There's like definitely like pho places. There's ramen places, which, think about it. Like 10 years ago, no one even knew what ramen was other than the package that you ate in your college dorm. Now we see like authentic ramen. And I used to mass produce it for a company called Ramen Hero to ship to homes. And we make the bone broth in massive scale in 400-gallon kettles.
Wow.
And
I would like to bathe in that kettle.
Yes, it's incredible, the process. If anyone wants to, real ramen is an art form. You have salinity levels, you have sugar levels, you have pH levels. Like they really study it, and if it's off, they throw out the batch.
Yep.
And you literally cook the bone marrow out of the chicken or the pork or the beef, whatever it is. It's a phenomenal process, but they have some of the best ramen here. There's lots of ramen places, and there's a chain, I can't remember the name. I'm having trouble today. I've been driving for like 25 hours, so I'm a little out of it. But but you come here and you get all of that Indian food here. Like my ex-wife, it was from Bangladesh, so I have an appreciation for the Southeast Asian food. I spent a lot of time in Thailand. Some of the best Thai food here. You have Lauvinit, the food truck. They just opened a restaurant called Ahan, South Ahan, and that's all like food from Laos. Mm-hmm. Same type of area, although they're landlocked compared to Thailand and Vietnam and all that. But you have this influence here, and actually Egyptian. I think there was an Egyptian place I saw the other day that's opening up, and you have these things that are coming up. You have a lot of Middle Eastern food. The palate here is so diverse, and for somewhere in the South, in Nashville, I've spent a lot of time in Atlanta. I've spent a lot of time in Florida and Alabama and Mississippi and South Carolina and North Carolina. They don't have what's going on here. You have this weird, almost northern, western, coastal city in the middle of the United States that's literally, like you said, I think it has, if I were to be honest, there's more diversity in food here. And like when I travel the world, I eat my way through cities. This city like literally is overwhelming right now on how much food you can get, and you get exposure, experience, and education to food like none other here, which is kind of cool. And
good food at that
Yes.
too. It's not just people like coming in and like, oh, hey, I'm from Thailand. I know how to cook my food. No, it's people who know what they're doing. My waistline is the perfect example of what's going on in this city as far as food, because all I'm doing is eating, and I don't know what to do.
That's if you're not traveling.
Well, right, and I'm doing the same as Justin. Like I'm eating my way through wherever. I have a whole list of just food and drink places around the world that I keep. That is like, oh, you're going here? It's just go here, eat this.
I know,
right?
And it's true, right? You want to eat your way through. Why go to a museum? That's like, okay, I'm not getting the culture. I might see something from the past, and nothing against museums and art, but it's not for me. If I go experience a city, I go to the local spots, I go try the cuisine, I go try the restaurants, and that's what's going on here. Similar to what you're talking about. I mean, you cannot.
Oh, I'm always trying to
find
like the best spot in whatever place I'm going. Like we'll find a bar, and then I'll ask the bartender, where do you eat? Right? Like I don't want to just sit there and look up some stuff like, oh, like look at like reviews and all that stuff. They're good, but at the same time, who are the Johans spending all that time doing reviews?
Yeah.
Really? I'm out here living life and eating. I don't have time to do reviews. Not that they're bad, they're great, they help people out, but I'd rather ask the bartender or the local dude, hey, where do you guys go to eat? Where's the spot that you go? Because a lot of times you're not going to find that.
Yeah, exactly.
And those are always the best. You never go wrong.
And same, like internationally, you always end up in the tourist traps. Like you need to go outside the tourist traps out in the city. And same here in Nashville.
Like walk 3 blocks from wherever you're at, and I guarantee you'll find better food than what's right there.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it's the same here. I think you're starting to see that. They're spilling out in the suburbs. East Nashville is a great example. I mean, East Nashville's got great food.
But that pocket of East has, I would say, the best overall, combined of best options in the entire city.
Agreed.
It has some. I mean, if anybody's listening that owns a restaurant and good food, keep going east, because I just moved out of East Nashville and I need the good stuff.
Dude, I've
like
been saying
closer
this-
into
I've been-
Hermitage. Like,
Bro, I've been
just
saying
keep
this-
coming this way, please, because I need better options
it's
than
coming.
Chili's and Applebee's
It's
and
coming.
Hooters.
Yeah, I know.
Donaldson Hermitage is going to be the food mecca of Nashville.
Let's go, baby.
we have been in a lot of meetings regarding this stuff, and there's a lot coming to the Donaldson market. And I think I truly think within 3 years, some of the things that are coming to the Donaldson market, you're going to be like, yeah, I'm not leaving this part of town.
No, I mean, I'm not leaving with the new house. There's no way. But yes, please.
Your new house is amazing.
Can we just bring the good food? That's all I'm looking for. And then I'll never leave.
Yeah,
there's no reason to.
And I live in Denver, and we saw the boom with the legalization of marijuana. And actually, I live in Littleton, but in Denver, you saw like a lot of this food come there, and people do the tourism and bring food there. And there was a boom there, like a diversity of food and restaurateurs and entrepreneurs going there in the food business, particularly because the way the ease back, almost the liberal way of looking at things and food laws and going back to the roots of food, like we were talking about earlier. But here, it's that too. Like, and there's a lot of restaurants.
It's been that way for a long time. It's just people don't realize how much farmland is here that makes all the food in this area.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. You have like a lot of, Rich Froning, he's in Cookeville. It's not too far from here. He's won the CrossFit Games like 5 years or in counting, I think. He's now doing team, but he has a bison farm in Tennessee. It's what he went into, and I think that's what we're talking about here is you have a lot of, personality individuals that are alphas that are trying to make their way in the world, or entrepreneurs, and food's a way of doing it around here. There's farmland, there's good temperatures, there's like you get all 4 seasons, and that's what's needed for food. You can grow crops all year round here. You can grow animals all year round here. And it's really important that we understand, like, there's a breadbasket down here in the Southeast. And we always think of Iowa and Illinois and Indiana. It's just because they mass produce food. It's not actually the most fertile ground, and they can't grow 24/7 because they have really bad winters there. Here, you can do that. You can have crops. You can grow indoors. You can grow outdoors. You can do it urban farming. You can do whatever. The way things are built around here leads to that. The mountains, the valleys, the amount of water. So I just think that, we're seeing a lot of that. You're seeing restaurateurs diversify their proteins. They're seeing them diversify their fruits and vegetables, and it's what needs to go on. It's something that New York was doing for a while, but they went backwards after the coronavirus. Yep. And same with LA. Everything kind of went backwards. And even in Chicago, things kind of went, we have less resources. We have less access to
Chicago's a great example. Walmart just shut down 6 locations in Chicago.
Yeah.
Because of theft.
Yeah.
And so if we want to get into the politics side of thing.
Can I just throw my hat in for the best carne asada taco, guacamole, and margaritas, period, in town?
Let's do it.
Made by me.
All right.
Right here. I will take that to the grave. I will put my stuff up against anyone.
That's cool.
Let's go.
I think we need some carne asada tacos.
Oh, man. I got a new Blackstone grill, so I'm working on my hibachi still. Like, I'm trying.
I've been watching your stories.
My wife's always doing it, and I'm trying. Like, I'm trying to get like the clank, like, like I'm working on it. I can't do a volcano yet at all. I tried, fail, but I'm getting better.
I like this a lot, and I love those Blackstone grills. People are doing smash burgers and stuff like that. That's a whole big trend. It's not to be confused with a hamburger.
No, I've tried 3 times. Moderate. That's about as best as I can do. I'm too afraid to just like push that thing down, right?
Press it, man.
Yeah, you got to push all
I know.
that
I'm too afraid to give it that much oomph because it's not in me, because I normally like to make like thick,
me too.
thick burgers, right? And now I'm trying to do this very thin style, and I don't know. I feel like a sissy. Like I can't do it. I'm too afraid.
And we're going to smash other things. Chicken burgers, turkey burgers, elk burgers. It's only a matter of time before the trend goes in more, or someone figures out that you need to diversify it and differentiate yourself a little bit versus all the other smash burgers.
Smash it all.
Smash
all the meats.
Well, this episode has made me hungry, boys.
I know. I didn't know what I was walking into, and now Justin's just eloquently spewing all this good food stuff, and my stomach's like, let's go. Well, why are we still here? Let's go eat.
I haven't eaten since last night, so I'm getting hungry. But Justin, thank you so much for coming on the show. This is not going to be the last time. So, Justin, where can people follow you on social media and listen to your podcast?
Yeah, absolutely. You can find me on Spotify or wherever else you guys grow yourself through podcasts. Just type in my last name, Bizzarro, Bizzarro. XPLR. All 4 shows that I do are on there. We're starting to populate all of them this fall. We've got many recorded and ready to go. And you can also find me on Threads, Instagram, and Facebook at Justin Bizzarro. Again, Bizzarro. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much for
You
coming
can
on
find
the
me
show.
on Justin's channel. I'll be there.
Thank you for listening to the Nashville Daily Podcast. If you want to learn more, head to NashvilleDailyPodcast.com.
You can also follow us on social media at explore.nash on Instagram, Nashville Daily Podcast on YouTube, and explore.nash on YouTube as well.
The Nashville Daily Podcast is an Explore LLC production, copyright 2023.